Title: Wife caught in affair served divorce papers after years of deceit. I had her new address and handed it off to my lawyer, and soon, she was served. What she came back with was a surprising demand: half of my 401k that I'd saved up during our time together, plus a one-time alimony payout of $10,000. Hey everyone! Hope you're all doing great. We're back with another subscriber email story. If you have a story you'd like to share, send it to trustorination@gmail.com. Whether it's a funny story or something you've been through, it might help someone who's going through the same thing. If you can help just one person, it's worth it. Now, let's dive into today's story. The subject is my second marriage: abuse, gaslighting, and desertion. Hey, lessons from life. Hope you're well. I've tried writing this letter a few times now, but I wasn't sure where to start. I think it's best to begin with the end. On November 26, 2016, after a grueling 13-hour shift and a 90-minute drive, I came home to find my house trashed. Or at least it looked that way. I immediately started worrying about my wife, who was 35. That worry quickly turned to realization when I saw her computer was gone, but mine was still there. Then, the truth hit me when I found her closet emptied, along with all her jewelry. It was clear she was gone for good. The night before I left for work, she had helped me make my lunch, walked me to the door, kissed me, and said she'd see me in the morning. She had initiated one of those golden periods, but it was just a distraction. After the shock, I called my 2 daughters for some help. I was dealing with separation anxiety and PTSD from years of being gaslit, lied to, and knowing she was cheating on me without solid proof. I needed something concrete to confront her father with. The situation was complicated. The house I lived in was mine before I even met her, and with the 2007 financial crash, it had just reached the value I originally paid for it. I reached out to my daughters, then to a few other people. I found out that my soon-to-be ex-wife had landed on her feet. I didn't need any crazy drama though, and the last thing I wanted was to end up in some Gone Girl situation. To make things even worse, for the last 3 years, I had been walking on eggshells at home, worried she'd accuse me of something. I knew I needed to take action. I called a friend for advice, and he told me the best thing to do was to lawyer up. The following Monday, I took the day off to meet with lawyers in New Jersey. I used the local referral service, paid $20 for consultations with 5 different lawyers, and by the end of the week, I had decided who to hire. Within 2 weeks, I had given the retainer fee, and my lawyer began the divorce process. The reason I moved so quickly was to prevent her from getting her own legal representation. In New Jersey, once you speak to a lawyer about a case, they can no longer represent the other side. Before my lawyer sent any paperwork out, I insisted on reviewing it first, just to make sure everything was in order. I wanted this divorce to be simple. No kids, no significant assets, just a clean break. However, after 7 months of paperwork delays and attempts to locate her, my lawyer finally had her served at her new address. She came back with a claim for half of my 401k and a $10,000 alimony payment. Fortunately, New Jersey had just ended permanent alimony laws, which worked in my favor. Meanwhile, my daughters and I spent the next few weeks gathering her remaining possessions. Apparently, she hadn't taken much, just a pickup truck's worth. Some things were left behind in boxes, including all the unopened liquor bottles from my bar. It was clear where her priorities were. The one odd thing was that she made our bed before leaving. She put fresh sheets on it, a clean comforter, and neat pillows. I found this strange. But when I went through her journal, I uncovered the truth. She had been having an affair for 6 years with a man I knew. This man had been in my home, eating at my table, and I had trusted him. After reading about the affair, I couldn't help but confront the man once. I told him that I hoped my ex-wife found him again. This time, I knew he'd regret it. Interestingly, he did. He ended up losing his friends, who had known about the affair, and had to leave his town to start over. As for her, she tried to avoid the responsibility of the divorce, as many women in similar situations do. Despite knowing she was in a position to get a significant amount of money from me, her guilt seemed to be eating at her. Even in court, I refused to acknowledge her presence. I simply wanted to move on. Someone once asked me if I'd ever speak to her again, and I replied that if I never saw her again or spoke to her, it would be too soon. My daughters have been a huge support throughout this process. They helped me clean up the house and get everything in order. I told my lawyer that I wanted to store her things in the attic, but he advised me to put them in a storage unit and charge her for the storage fees as part of the settlement. My ex also requested to visit the house one last time to pick up the remainder of her things, but after 30 days, everything was legally abandoned. The divorce wasn't finalized for over a year, and even then, she tried to push for more, but my lawyer made sure to enforce the abandonment rule. My life has been a journey of healing ever since, and I've learned a lot along the way. One key lesson was that if I wanted the company of a woman, I'd rent it. I know now that I'll never find the solid, supportive partnership I was looking for in marriage. I'm content with myself. After all, searching for a good woman can feel like navigating a minefield. I'm not against companionship, but I've realized that I need to be cautious. I've even had an ex-girlfriend pestering me to visit her after her husband passed, but I know the consequences of getting involved again. The affair that broke my marriage was with a man who, despite his good looks, had nothing to offer. He couldn't even keep a job and relied on Social Security. It made me question the choices my ex made, but ultimately it was her decision. Over time, I've come to terms with the fact that I could never have saved this marriage. It was doomed from the start. But what I've learned is invaluable. Trust your gut, review everything carefully, learn to validate yourself, and take care of your health. 4.5 years into my recovery, I've picked up music again and am slowly getting back into the world. Thank you for listening, and for those going through similar experiences, just know that you can heal. Let me share some thoughts. It's crazy how often women cheat for reasons that don't make sense. In this case, my ex-wife left me for someone with less to offer. He was tall, but he had nothing going for him. It's like they're willing to throw everything away for someone who's not even better. I appreciate this story. It's not about revenge or getting back at anyone, it's about finding freedom. I love how you've turned things around. You're doing better, playing music again, and you've started healing. You're ready to rejoin the world, and that's what matters. Your daughters sound amazing, and they were there for you when you needed them the most. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have a story to share, send it to Lessons from Life. Take care, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.